In this video, you will learn the disturbing true story of the man who inspired Psycho, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and Silence of the Lambs. I'll tell you everything I know about Ed Gein, a quiet man from a small town whose dark secrets changed horror forever. Ed Gein's story begins in La Crosse County, Wisconsin in 1906. He was born into a world of silence, fear, and control. His father, George Gein, was an alcoholic who could never hold a job, bitter, weak, and often violent. But the real force in that house was his mother, Augusta. She was a deeply religious woman who believed the world was drowning in sin. To her, women, except herself, were agents of the devil. She filled her sons' heads with sermons about damnation, corruption, and the burning fires of hell. Ed was a small, shy boy. He didn't play with other kids. He spent his childhood helping with chores and reading verses about punishment and purity. Every day, Augusta reminded him, "The world outside is evil, Edward. Stay close to me." And he did. He stayed close his entire life. The Gein family lived on a remote 155-acre farm near Plainfield, isolated from everyone else. No visitors, no friends, just endless cornfields and Augusta's voice echoing through the cold Wisconsin air. When Ed went to school, the other kids teased him for his odd behavior. He'd laugh at the wrong times, he'd giggle nervously for no reason. He was quiet, polite, and painfully strange. But no matter what happened, every afternoon he'd hurry back to the farm, to the one person who controlled everything he was, his mother. But what happens when the only person you love is also the one who destroys your soul? By the 1940s, the Gein household had fallen apart. George, his father, died in 1940, his body finally giving up after years of drinking. That left Ed and his older brother Henry to care for their mother and the decaying farm. Henry had begun to see through Augusta's madness. He told friends he was worried about Ed's obsession with her, how he still worshipped her like a saint. He even started dating a woman, something Augusta despised. Then, in 1944, the brothers were burning brush near their property when the fire got out of control. Neighbors helped put it out, but when Ed reported Henry missing later that night, the search party found him dead, face down, no burns, but with strange bruises on his head. Police ruled it an accident, but many believed otherwise. From that moment on, it was just Ed and Augusta, and Ed devoted himself completely to her. Until one winter morning in 1945, Augusta suffered a massive stroke. She lingered for months before dying in December of that year. Ed was broken. Completely, irreversibly broken. He boarded up her bedroom and the parlor, leaving them untouched like a shrine. He moved into a filthy corner of the house, a single small room filled with garbage, old newspapers, and broken furniture. That's where he lived for the next 12 years, alone. And somewhere in that loneliness, his mind began to rot. But Ed didn't stay alone. He found company in the most horrifying way imaginable. In 1947, Ed began visiting the local cemetery at night. He'd read obituaries in the paper looking for recently deceased women who resembled his mother. Then, in the moonlight, he'd dig up their graves, sometimes taking the entire body, sometimes just parts. He said later that he fell into a trance, that he didn't even remember doing it. But what he brought back home was unthinkable. When police finally entered his house years later, they found objects made from human remains, bowls made from skulls, chairs covered in skin, a belt sewn together with nipples, masks crafted from human faces, and, most disturbingly, a woman's suit made entirely of human skin. Ed said he wanted to wear it, to become his mother. He missed her so much that he tried to recreate her, one body part at a time. He also confessed to killing 2 women, Mary Hogan, a tavern owner who vanished in 1954, and Bernice Worden, who disappeared from her hardware store in 1957. He claimed he shot them both by accident. But what he did after was deliberate. For 10 years, Plainfield had no idea that a monster lived among them, until one cold November day when his mask finally slipped. Ed was found legally insane and sent to a mental hospital instead of prison. He lived there quietly for the rest of his life, painting, reading, even joking with staff. He became known as the model patient. He died in 1984 at the age of 77, and he was buried just a few meters from the graves he once robbed. To understand Ed Gein, you have to step inside the kind of mind that doesn't break all at once, but fractures slowly over a lifetime. Ed wasn't born a monster. He was made into one through fear, isolation, and control. His world was built around one person, his mother, Augusta. She was his moral compass, his god, and his jailer all at once. Psychologists later said Ed suffered from severe attachment disorder, a condition that made him incapable of forming normal relationships. He depended on his mother for everything: approval, guidance, identity. When she died, he didn't just lose his family, he lost his entire sense of self. In Ed's mind, death wasn't final. It was just separation. He believed he could reconnect with his mother by literally rebuilding her from pieces of others. That's why he robbed graves. That's why he created what he called his woman's suit. To him, it wasn't about murder. It was about reunion, a desperate, delusional attempt to fill the silence she left behind. Psychiatrists diagnosed him with schizophrenia and psychosis, fueled by extreme guilt and sexual repression. He couldn't separate right from wrong or fantasy from reality. When questioned, he spoke as if his actions made perfect sense, as if digging up a corpse was no different than mending a broken toy. Experts also noted Ed's childlike nature. He giggled during interrogations, smiled when describing his crimes, and never showed true anger. He didn't kill out of hatred. He killed because, in his twisted perception, it felt necessary. Ed's mind was trapped in the space between innocence and evil, where empathy dies, but longing survives. And that's what made him so terrifying. He wasn't the violent, raging kind of killer. He was calm, polite, and eerily gentle. A man who could eat dinner next to human bones and still ask if you'd like some coffee. They say monsters are born from darkness, but sometimes they're created by love twisted the wrong way. If this story kept you watching till the end, subscribe for more tales from the darkest corners of history. Because sometimes, the scariest monsters aren't hiding under your bed. They're sitting quietly in the house next door. Stay curious.